executive session at 6:13. Continue on with the work session, and we are going to our administrator, Mr. Mannery.
I just wanted to give you an update on Lake Dine and Dance. Because of COVID, the Ohio Division of Liquor Control has pushed back their deadlines for reviewing liquor licenses till next June 1st, either June 1st or July 1st. But I've already got it in motion, so we're gonna pass the resolution tonight objecting to the renewal of their liquor license. I'm going to file it with the Department of Liquor Control, but we won't hear anything until next summer. Just an update, that's all.
Can I ask a question before we go any farther? Do we have any guests on the call? Right, because that was the first item on the agenda.
Yeah, that's correct.
I just want to make sure that we do give the opportunity and nobody else.
Sean, is there anybody online? We're looking for there's a couple of people we were expecting at 6 o'clock. All right, thank you. No.
All right, thank you.
Okay, back to Mr. Mannery.
The Children's Christmas Drive-Through. Karen, of course, has already taken care of what my concern was, that we would not have enough bags. Concord got 600 people at their Halloween drive-through. I would think we're going to get a lot of people. So we're going to be a little over 500 goodie bags to give away.
So we don't want to run short. I don't know what the number is. If we run into emergency, do we have anything else just to?
Decision we can make tonight.
I'll just get I don't know, get some candy canes.
I think that's the most simple.
Yeah, that's my thought, that we just do candy canes.
500. I mean, 500 is fine, but then if you run out of those, I mean, if we happen to get, whatever the exceeding number would be as an emergency backup, and then we could always just throw them in next year's thing or whatever, if they're left over.
If there's any we don't give away, they're just kept for next year.
So, because here's my thought is, I have young kids, and we come home from things like that, or when they were younger, I guess. I know where those goodie bag ended up.
Where at work?
In the garbage.
Oh.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like the stuff in it, just the kids liked it, but they never did anything with it. It hit the counter and then hit the garbage. So if we keep it simple, I mean, we get 500 bags, or we get some extra candy canes as backup, and
yeah. I mean, I think versus like the basic ones, we like kind of talked about the colored, like the flavored ones. Here you can get 144 12 packs of 12 on Amazon. I looked on Sam's Club; they just have the mini ones, but you get 12 packs of 12, so 144 for $41. For 144
What is that?
on Amazon. So
Order candy canes?
or two of those. That's 280 candy canes. That if we don't use them, we don't use them, and
yeah, well, they are in the stores. I mean,
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, you can't. If you go single packs, you're looking at a lot more. It's $9 for a single pack.
I thought single packs were like.
Of the flavored ones.
Oh,
No, I'm not
okay.
talking like the basic.
Okay. Right.
So if you get like the good ones, you get 12 packs. So that comes out to like what, $3.50 a box. That's
Okay. Yeah. So
order 2 cases of those, and it'll be here Monday if we order it by tomorrow morning. So
do we have a credit card that we can?
I'll just send you the link. You can order
Okay.
stuff on Amazon.
Sure.
I'll just send you the link. I'll check Walmart real quick, but otherwise Amazon.
Is it free?
Sharon, we get free shipping on Amazon.
Okay.
Well, that's
I was gonna say yes. Somebody else has. Yeah. We'll make sure we have Prime on that.
Oh, we have Prime here or no?
You know what?
Or Karen? Somebody have?
Karen has
Use-
Amazon
No,
Prime.
Karen has a personal Prime membership that she uses for the township.
Okay.
Free shipping.
All right.
So someone check Walmart.
In the one email you had, Mike, you mentioned money. Are we okay with money?
Well, we have money in what's I can't remember what we call it. We have where we've been raising money for Family Fun Day. We have money in that.
Okay.
So we all of our special events for the community are all in the same pot. We put money in, we take money out. So it didn't come out of the general fund. All of that money is money that was donated over time.
Okay. Because we have what? Cost for Santa Claus, and I guess whatever Karen bought for more bags. Candy canes.
I kind of took it when I read your email, though, that we were short on money, but that's not the case.
No, I just was throwing it out there as part of the decision-making process. I didn't want to not acknowledge that.
Okay,
No, it's not a
Oh,
money
it's the same
problem.
price. It's actually more.
okay.
I would have preferred just to stick with candy canes, but
Well, we'll use what she has. She's already done that,
Yeah,
She's
right?
already
right.
done that. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard to ask people to come drive through for a candy cane.
Well, yeah, and that's why I worded it a Christmas treat. So I was very vague on what we would be giving so that if we ran out, I didn't want to say a goodie bag, right? And then we have a situation where we use up all the
Yeah.
goodie bags and then we have to give candy canes. So I just said a Christmas treat. So that way it's like pretty vague. So, you know,
I looked at it as a way for them to wave to Santa, drop off a letter if they wanted, and
get a little something. There you go.
then yeah, get out. But all right,
So when is that? December, what's the date on that? The 12th?
It's Saturday, 14th,
12.
12th, okay.
if possible, can they pull like the engine out or something? Put it. I don't know, just so it's visible. It can be in the driveway.
Out there going through, you guys said last meeting, going through the road department.
No, we're not having to go through the building. We decided not to do that because we don't want to hit. So they're going to go through,
Between the driveway, between the fire station and circle.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to come in off of Post Road.
right, correct. And then around.
And then around.
So
Through there.
essentially the same way they come for shredding.
No.
No, the
Friday
opposite.
They come in off
The
the
opposite.
party.
Oh, yeah. The opposite. Right. Yeah. Sorry.
Either in the driveway or I don't know if in that front parking lot, but then they might not be able to get out as well. Just so the truck's there and visible.
We have our reserve engine from that station, where we'll park it there with the lights going.
Perfect.
I think I'm gonna get some signs made to direct people where to go, because we're not gonna be able to let people come in off of Hardy if that's where people are gonna be coming out.
Correct.
So we'll have to block off half of the driveway on Hardy, so it's exit only, and I'll get signs made directing people to Post Road, and somebody from the road department will be at Post Road
Directing people in.
waving their arms, this is the way to go.
Okay.
And most likely, most people I think would be coming off of Fairport Nursery anyways. Wouldn't you think, or no?
Yes,
So it'd be easier to direct them in that way anyways. We'll just have essentially the park and people from like Chuck's development come in, I think, the back way. So,
Billy, what if it's snowing that day, and there's trucks running? What are we gonna do with that?
the trucks can go out the front of the building. We'll make that, and then when they come back into, well, we can just make sure that we're out on the road between, what is it, 11 to 1 or 12 to 2?
12 to 2, isn't it?
12-2.
12-2.
Make sure the trucks are all loaded up with salt and everything they need ahead of time.
We'll just make sure that they're out on the road at that time, not coming in to reload for that amount of time.
All right, in case this thing runs late.
You can still have Santa Claus, that'll be okay. But-
Oh yeah, you can't pull him to plow.
No.
Santa's helper is busy that day.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I had a set of thought on Santa Claus. If he makes more money plowing on that day, how do we address that?
Well,
Well, he's only gonna not plow for 2 hours.
Okay,
and we kind of addressed that anyways, because remember last time John was like, we were saying, hey, if he wants his hourly rate, and John was like, no, he'll want the,
Yeah.
he'll
we
want
want the other
his
one.
check, yeah.
Okay, all right, just make sure he's covered. Okay, anything else there, Mike?
Nope, that's all I've got.
Okay, it's a big scary sight up there.
Yeah.
It's like the devil with all that red behind him.
Yes, you.
Yeah, it's you, Jeremy.
It's not supposed to be red. It's something with the camera.
All right, let's move on to our chief. Chief,
Okay, I don't really have a lot, just want to kind of talk about what we're doing with COVID transports. We've just had a lot recently. I put a chart in there. We're up to suspected cases, people that we suspect may have COVID since March. We've had 477 of those transports of people that either have a fever or a cough or something that we think could be. Out of that, 56 we know have been confirmed by when the hospital sends us stuff back. So, and just this weekend, in fact, we had it was 25 suspected and ended up being 17 confirmed. So most of the stuff now, before we suspected a lot, and there wasn't a lot of positives. Now most of the people that we suspect actually do have it.
So people, they're calling for a ride for a fever?
No, they generally just, the people we take in are having trouble breathing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
most of
okay.
90%
I
of
was
the
just
time.
confused because you
But
said they had a fever, so.
Not everybody is having trouble. That's one of the symptoms we look for too. And that's what, if someone has a fever, the guys will usually suspect that it's COVID. They'll just automatically record it as suspected. But like I said, out of that, 56 of them actually have had it. So far, like I said, November, we've had over 100 people suspected just in November, 105, and 24 of those have been positive. So about a quarter of the people that were transported in November. And like I said, it's tipping the other way where most of the people that we think have it actually do. So, and varying degrees of it. Some people, have extreme problem breathing, and some people just are, having flu-like symptoms and want to go to the hospital. So yeah, we do take those people in too. In fact, a lot of those. And again, it's just a matter of, our guys wearing the proper PPE and keeping the equipment and the vehicles and the equipment clean. So,
Chief, what are you hearing about vaccines and then the distribution for you guys? Do you know where you would fall in here? Early
we're
guys?
supposed to get it first. Healthcare and first responders are supposed to get it first, is everything I hear. And there's a meeting actually for distribution tomorrow morning, an online meeting. So I'll get to hear more from the health department then. I don't know how much we're going to be involved with the distribution of it, because I know in the past when they've done vaccines, the fire department has been heavily involved, and we've set up these things called pods, points of distribution. Like the one we did for H1N1 was at the high school, and we had people come in there and we gave the shots and that kind of stuff along with the health department and nurses. But now everything I hear about it so far, and I'll find out again more tomorrow, is that it's not going to be done that way. It's going to be done through the hospitals and right at the clinics or like Minute Clinic at CVS and those right at the pharmacies. So you go, just like you get a flu shot, you go to the pharmacy and get it. So that's kind of what they're leaning toward. And like I said, I'll know more tomorrow, but it seems like everything I hear is coming pretty quickly. So
I saw in the news that FAA announced that they had like charter planes coming from Europe, that plane load full of it coming over from Pfizer. So
yeah, like I said, I got that invite for the meeting tomorrow. So it's like, okay, obviously there's something going on with their, it's a mass email for people that are, first responders and stuff, all the fire chiefs and stuff. So anyway, so that's where we're at. And as far as our people that are affected in our department, we only have a couple right now. We got a couple of people out, one part-time, one full-time. A few people thought they had it and didn't. Probably more of that. People, especially you worked with a guy, he got it. Now you got a sore throat.
Right? Yeah.
So
happens.
there's a lot of that going on too.
For sure.
the paranoia.
Yeah, exactly. So we're doing pretty good with it. Vehicles are mechanic, like I said, is going to be out of service for 6 months. So we made arrangements with Countryside. They're in Montville, but they will do most of the vehicles in Lake County, and in fact, almost all of them. They do the major engine work and all that stuff. So they're capable of doing anything. So we'll be taking all of our stuff out there. Hopefully, whatever we can pass on, we will. But
Frank, do you want to mention EVT so I understand why we're going to Montville?
Okay, yeah, thanks, Mike. We can't really take most of our stuff to the local guy down the street because they have to be EVT certified to work on it.
What's that acronym stand for?
That's Emergency Vehicle Technician.
Okay.
So they have to have that certification for liability purposes. If our ambulance or our fire truck gets in an accident, and someone asks for our maintenance records, they're gonna say, well, we want the maintenance records and who did the work and were they certified to work on emergency vehicles. So, those people are kind of for few and far between, so we have to go, like I said, we do have to go out to Montville to get this done. We went out there, we met with the guy a couple times, pretty favorable arrangements, but he'll basically do whatever we want as far as work is, so we're gonna try to get most of our stuff that we can put off till he gets back, we will, but if something that's broken in an emergency, we can take it there right away and get it done, so. And probably gonna have one preventative maintenance round that he'll have to do for each one of our vehicles, so. All right.
So I gotta ask this dumb question.
Sure.
Sean has that, right?
Yes, he does.
But he's out.
He is out.
Okay.
And he can.
And that's why you're doing this.
Right, that's why we're doing that. And as soon as he's able to come back on light duty, he can come back and supervise some of the stuff. He doesn't have to physically turn the screws, but he has to make sure the work's done right. So some things, when he's able to, he can come back on light duty, hang around and let other guys do the work as long as he can make sure that it's done right. So, so this hopefully can only be for a couple months that we'll have to take stuff to there. And minor stuff we'll do in-house, and the major stuff will go there because we don't want our guys working on transmission or anything like that because they don't really know what they're doing.
So is there something documented where an EVT guy has to do it as opposed to, you said minor, we can do in-house? Like minor would be changing a light bulb or something like that?
Yeah, stuff like that we've always done in-house, yeah.
And so there's something documented though that states what an EVT has to be done by?
There's a standards, NFPA standards, which is National Fire Protection Standards, which my understanding is if these things go to court, they'll go right to these standards and say, you worked off of these standards. So, and again, the lawyers probably know this better than I do, but that's my understanding of what our goal should be with NFPA. That's the first thing that they're going to bring out in court, no matter what we do, is, do you live up to these standards or your guys work to these standards? Which is 90% of the things that we do in the training we get is to make sure our guys are up to the standards that meet this criteria. So
I'm all too familiar with that. Okay.
Okay. Exhaust systems for station 1 and 2, I have them. They'll be going in on this. They'll start the installation of them on the 7th of December. So they'll be done in plenty of time. And then the dorm rooms at station 1 and 2 are well underway. The guys, station 1, they've got all the plumbing and electrical and all that stuff. 2, they were working on the electrical today. So all the framework is up for the things. Basically, I think we're right to the point. You throw up some drywall and they're going to be pretty close to done except for finished work. And I know over here, the bathroom, they got to put all the fixtures in and all that. But they got the major part of the work done. So they've done it quickly, both companies. So they're doing a fantastic job. All right, that's what I have. Yeah.
I had a question.
Sure.
The UV light that's behind me,
Yes.
each station got 2? Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay. And do they put one in the squad
That's,
after a call?
that's what we're doing it daily, just putting it out there.
Okay.
We have the disinfectant spray that we spray, and plus, when they get the suspected COVID calls, we have a fogger that we put that in and let that run. But the UV stuff, we're just running it routinely, just leave it hang there and, for running for an hour and then, take it out. So
Okay.
doing that daily, for the heck, it can't hurt.
I
So,
stopped in at station 2 last Wednesday, maybe,
yeah.
and talked to the guys there. And I mentioned that these were coming because I don't think they were there yet. And the part-timer, he must also work in Chardon possibly.
Okay.
And he indicated that they're doing the same thing. They come back, they fog it, and they put one of these in it. So it sounds like we're not the only ones.
Yeah, I think they've already rigged a way to hang them in the center of this. They just put it up there and leave it hang right in the center of the squad, and it gets, it's shut the door and let it run.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think they do that for an hour. If it gets interrupted, or they have the remote for it too, so they can shut it off and get in and take it out. So. Okay. Thank you.
All right, so we'll go to Bill next, but Bill, before we get into your actual report, let me go back to the drive-through and the Christmas party. I think you mentioned it last meeting here. I'm just trying to refresh my memory. Since they're going to be driving through the brush pickup spot,
Yes.
you said you had something to put down so they don't get mud and everything over their vehicles coming through?
Well, we can fill in any holes, any mud holes, but I mean, it is a gravel, mud, asphalt grinding parking area. So if it's a rainy day or, all the snow would happen to melt that day, that they're probably gonna get a little bit of.
It is what it is.
Yeah, but you don't want it being too bad. If it's people driving through there, it's going to be all muddy. Don't you have anything you could put down, or can we get something? I mean, am I wrong?
We have material we could put down, fill the holes with, but are you talking about
Like wood chips or something across the top of it? Or just the area where they're driving through? I'm just thinking out loud, and if it's a dumb question or it's a stupid
No.
point,
No.
you're laughing over here. I'm thinking, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm coming through there with my car. I don't want my car all freaking muddy. If I drive there with my truck because it's my truck. But if I'm driving my vehicle through there, I don't want to come out all freaking muddy on the side. And there's going to be a lot of that. And so if it's not that big of a deal and we have something we could put down, great. That's what I'm asking.
Yes, we will put something down, but if it's a rainy day, it's not gonna matter.
Okay. Anything will help.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I had an idea that I wanted to run past the board to see what you think about it. We took all of the Hometown Hero banners down, and we have all the brackets stay up all year. And I wondered what you think about getting some holiday banners to put maybe 6 of them on the east side, 12 of them on this side for this year. Put them at the major intersections.
I think it's a great idea.
That'd be nice.
They're all, we have the brackets, so it'll just be a matter of $72 a piece for the banners. And I thought we'll just get snowflakes this year. I wanted to stay away from Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, because then we kind of need to take them down sooner than if we put snowflakes up, we can leave them up until we put shamrocks up for the parade. And now, so Karen has talked to Morgan Litho, and they think that they could expedite these banners and get them probably here within a week. So if we order them tomorrow, I think that would be okay. And now the next question is, do you want Painesville Township somewhere on it, or just the snowflakes?
Just my name's fine.
I've got the billboard at the fairgrounds for that.
Okay.
But you got to dress up in an elf outfit.
That's fine. I think it'd be nice to put Painesville Township on there some way. I mean, it's a lot of words. I don't know if we can get the logo on there.
Township.
Or
You could do the township.
you put Painesville Township.
There's
put the logo.
snowflakes on there, that kind of puts you in there.
What?
I said,
What's that
we already got the snowflake, why do we gotta put your name on there?
Oh, man. I think it would look nice to have a nice font of just Painesville Township versus our logo on, if they're more holiday themed, you know?
Just the words?
I think so. I think it would just the words Painesville Township underneath and a nice script or something that's
Or
You
down
know.
the side or?
something, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, however they can fit it, because if you try to do it across it, there's not a whole lot of space to put the
Well,
word
right.
Painesville.
Just I think if you start putting our logo on there and then it's blue and then you put the green and brown, it might
Yeah.
kind of so a nice font to just go with
Okay.
whatever the color scheme is.
Buddy, to put something together, and then you guys look at it and decide. Find out
Okay.
what's nice.
All right. Yep. And we'll get those put up and it'll be a nice addition.
Is 12 enough? Is 12 enough?
18, 12 on this
Well, that's
side.
what I'm getting at. It's like 12 enough that they're not so sparse,
Well, I
sparse.
thought
that-
we'd put some at Fairgrounds Road, in front of the shopping center.
Kind of
Airfield.
signalized intersections or busy intersections.
Yeah. As you, down by Target, as you come into the township.
Well, so you would do a minimum of 4 at each intersection, a minimum of 4.
So we double it.
So you go, so what intersections you have? You have Fairgrounds, and then you have Coventry or Normandy, and then what do you have? Next one down, and then
Nye,
Nye,
and then Fairfield, and then
Fairfield.
Millmore.
and then you want to get them on the inside coming
Yeah.
in. So
And then
that's,
you wanna
that's
get
a
'em-
lot. That's not gonna be enough.
And then you want some at the border by Target, like right coming in
Yeah.
from Target. I think you should have both sides there as like the entrance and, like at the township.
So what do you think?
I think double it. And then
Okay.
just figure out.
Yeah.
I'll get enough to put them at each intersection, and on the other side at Fairport Nursery and North Ridge, as you get off the freeway there, and
Yeah.
then down at Bohall and Bacon, and then down at the entrance as you're coming in from Perry.
And then entrance down here and
Yeah.
the city
both
too. Yeah.
entrances, Yeah.
All right.
I would say
All right.
figure out how many you think you need and get that plus 2 or something,
Just
just
a couple extra, yeah.
in case something happens to one right away.
And it's just
Great
gonna be,
idea.
it's just gonna be all snowflakes, different
Yeah,
colors.
sure.
Okay.
Whatever.
All right, what else you got?
So I had talked at one of the previous meetings about the cat loader repair, and we were thinking it was gonna be in the $50,000 range. We are supposed to get that back tomorrow, and it's gonna be closer to 40,000. So I was happy with that. They were going to fix whatever they found, and apparently they didn't find as much as they thought they might. So I'm happy about that, and it's gonna look like a new loader. It's gonna be like a new loader, so be money well spent.
Good.
Saturday's leaf pickup. We ended up getting the 3 garbage trucks from Majors. So there'll be 9 of us service department workers. There'll be 3 with each truck to pick up the leaves. So that's all that will be out there is the 3 trucks. The current weather forecast is for good weather. If we ran into a snow event where the guys had to be out treating the roads instead of picking up leaves, there would be no leaf pickup that day. We would have to just do it another day or the following week. But and so the notice that's going into the News Heralds is going to state that winter weather conditions could delay the pickup, and if we can't get them on Saturday, we'll get them the following week.
Okay, so this Saturday,
Oh, yeah, 37, 31 looks like rain,
yeah, so
Okay.
at least not snow, right?
not snow. That's good.
Okay. I made arrangements with Lake County Fairgrounds to park some equipment, indoor storage over there for the winter. They are not going to charge us. They typically charge for indoor storage. They're not going to charge us because we do some favors for them throughout the year. So it just gives us more room in the garage to
Nice.
get some of the equipment that we don't use in the winter in storage.
This is fairgrounds, you said?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Maybe we should consider building something on our own to store stuff in future years.
That'd be a great idea.
I like that idea, Josh. We'll be getting there's a resolution today on the agenda to sign in to submit the OPWC final application. We didn't make the cut for the first round, but this will be resubmitting it as a reserve project if other funding comes available. This is for the 2021 project that would have been built in 2022. Banner Stone.
You said we did not make the cut?
No, we did not score high enough to be one of the funded projects, but we're close enough to possibly be a reserve.
They made some changes to the scoring this year. And did I tell you, I talked to Tracy and we lost points, 1 or 2 points in the availability of other funds. So they started interpreting that section of if you have a levy to pay for roads, that is other funds you can use for your project. So we lost some points there.
You gotta be kidding me.
So acknowledge that the way they do it now isn't fair to townships because all the townships are funded with levies. And they're looking at how to change that for next year, but it didn't help us this year.
That is, yes.
Do you have to put that on the application that you got monies?
No, they actually went out and pulled stuff from the auditors, I guess, auditor's website, or they went out and found that levy information on their own. I then pointed out one particular community that got full points that also has a levy. So that was somewhat of a scoring mistake. I don't know if they were going to adjust it or not.
Well, everyone got levies, don't they?
Who?
All the townships got levies, don't they?
Yes. So that puts townships at a disadvantage by scoring it that way.
That doesn't make any sense.
The
So who
Cities-
decides that?
Everybody.
Reconsider it. Who reconsiders?
There's a board made up of like the Lake County Engineer's Office, Geauga County Engineer's Office, and maybe somebody else.
Portage, or somebody
Maybe.
in with Portage and
And
District 7?
they have all kind of acknowledged that the scoring isn't fair to townships.
Well, if they acknowledge it and they're the ones who decide it,
They don't decide the scoring.
so who does?
It is the large cities have more influence on that than anybody else. And they got 2 projects, at least 2 projects this year.
Menor?
The large city.
Menor.
Yes.
What if we canceled our levies? Cancel the last one we did, which was specifically for roads. Would that have passed then?
I don't know.
I doubt it because you still got a road levy out there.
I mean, technically, anything that's named for the road department would constitute a road levy,
And
right?
so I even argued the fact that all those communities get license plate tax, gas tax money that goes towards funding, and not a perfect system is what I was told. So,
And it was a good application. It was.
yeah, so
It was.
So we will resubmit next round, and we'll get some bonus points because it's a resubmit. If we don't get a reserve project out of it, we'll resubmit and we should get funding. But it seems like every couple of years they change something in the scoring process and we drop below the line, and then we figure out how to play the game and get back above the line.
We should know about that before we go below.
Yeah. I mean, who's
taking care of that? Oh, wait, that's you, Josh. Dude, find out.
I think the fiscal officer signs off on everything too.
I thought you specifically got into that, so you were going to take care of it. I never lost one when I was doing it. That's all I'm going to say.
maybe you should take it back
I was
over.
like, yeah, Bill, next year you're working with Mike. Good luck.
So I started using a tree company that's in the township called Reynolds Tree Service. They are the company that came and asked for, I think, some rezoning off of Northridge Road.
Yeah,
kind
right
of by
before
Route
Dollar
2.
General.
Yeah. So I started using them, and a couple Sundays ago we had the big windstorm. You remember that the trees were falling down. A tree fell on a car. Well, we had a tree on Hickory Hill that the top of the tree came loose and it was hanging, and we don't have equipment to get up that high. There was nothing that we could do, so I called Reynolds Tree Service, and within 30 minutes, he was there to see what he needed, and then went back and got the equipment he needed and came back, and within an hour and a half, it was done, and it was $450. And I thought that was fantastic to come that quick when they were busy with other communities too, but worked us in, and I'm happy with them. So I'm glad we started using them.
Good.
Today's snowstorm, things have been going as well as they could. We have all of our equipment has been working. I don't want to jinx us, but we've been good that way. And there was a pretty big traffic jam at Bank Street, Riverside Drive by Wintergreen Hill. Both hills were bad and people couldn't get up, and our truck was stuck in it. So Toby and John figured out a way to one of them to block traffic so nobody else could come down the hill, and then the other one actually plowed and salted the hill so that the traffic could get moving again. So it wasn't our road, but it was a situation that needed handled, and they handled it. So that's good. And that's what I have. Any questions?
No. So this morning, yeah, I called you. So I called him this morning. I'm driving to work, and again, our road was good. Where I pulled in my neighborhood, it was passable. It was, for what we're experiencing, it was really coming down wet. It was fine. Lake Road was good. I got onto Bacon Road, County Road, it's bad. I got onto Blaze Nemeth, County Road, it's bad. I got onto the freeway, it's freaking miserable. I got off because I wasn't going all the way to Wickliffe and that. And I said, this is crazy. So I get off in Painesville, and then I come down their roads. I cut across on 535. It was all horrible. It wasn't until I got back into the down Fairport Nursery, which again is our road, that things were good. So I really appreciate the outstanding work those guys did. It shows, you know, I mean, usually when you go from one community to the next and
Yeah.
you just see the difference. It's nice. So great job, Bill. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And then last thing, I don't know if you were out most of the day on the road. Do you see the email from Chief Lloyd in
Yes.
in
I did.
Fairport?
Yes.
You guys all saw that?
I didn't get a chance to read it all.
I had it up here.
Okay.
I was gonna,
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that, I mean, it reflects upon you that whoever was out there saw something that needed help, they stopped, you know, helped out. Fairport's squad get up the hill. Again, it wasn't our squad, was outside the township, but they saw something needed done. So, you know, kudos to you and the department for that.
I just can't figure out, where is there an incline on West Jackson?
Those
The
apartments.
Sunrise Apartments. Just,
Oh, so they were coming up off of the,
they were in they had a call in the apartment complex and they
Oh,
couldn't get
okay.
up that little.
I thought he meant on actual Jackson. I'm thinking, where's there a hill on Jackson Street? So that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, right. That's what he said. Okay.
Can we get a portion of those EMS billings for that run?
So back to what you spoke about though, Josh, with the point system changing. Are those elected officials in Columbus that make that decision or the agencies under those guys?
No, every region scores differently, and they are making a move to be, all the regions are getting, it's highly suggested that they all move to a central scoring system that would be used throughout the state.
Well, who changed our scoring system? I guess is what Chuck's trying to
So
get
the
at.
scoring system, the
Right?
scoring system stayed the same. Lake County was informed by the other community, the other counties in our region, that they were scoring that particular criteria different than the other two counties were, and that it was strongly suggested that they change to match what the other counties were
Who
doing.
sets the rules?
Somebody in the county engineer's office.
So I feel like we got screwed, plain and simple, and we weren't properly represented by whoever that person is. And so what I would like us to do is to formally send a letter to them and explain. And we just passed a stinking levy. Our residents just passed us a levy specifically for roads. And now we can't use that for roads because we have to use it for what they're supposed to give us. So I just think from our standpoint, we can't just say we're going to adapt because we've already adapted. And you know, you and Bill work well together with Mike and all this stuff and get us situated, but we got shortchanged big time. And that's just not fair the way the process played out. And so I'd like to see us take a stand and send a letter, formally document to whomever this is. And I know sometimes you don't want to step on toes, but I think sometimes you got to brush them.
Well, I think in this case, I think Tracy at the county, she's aware that the scoring isn't necessarily fair to townships. So I don't think sending a letter would step on her toes or the county's toes. They're aware of it. So it's not like we have to worry about upsetting anybody, but I think a letter supporting or stating our case only more strongly supports.
So we've
changing.
all worked hard for some of these elected officials going to Columbus. And I mean, this is one of those times where they can directly pay back if that's in their wheelhouse to help. I'm just trying to figure out who is it? And
Yeah,
if you don't know now, let's figure it out. But we need to figure that out and then address it because that's just not right. We got shafted on that one. You pass a stinking levy so you can fix more of your roads, and the state says you've got money to fix your roads, so you don't need our money. Well, that's our money that we just voted on issue 2 money a couple of years ago. It's like you renew this thing to get your roads fixed. And now they're changing the stinking rules and sticking it to us. So I don't know who this would be. I sure don't know whether it's you, Mike, or in a collaboration. Bill, figure out who we need to send a letter to or multiple parties, and let's send something off. And properly word it so we don't tick off everybody in the world and screw ourselves for next time. But I mean, they got to get their act together. That's just not right. Cuyahoga, Portage, and Summit come in and say, you guys score differently, Lake County, so you got to change your score. Well, that's not fair to us. We've already submitted our package.
So I will say that our region of the 3 counties, they do figure out how much each county puts into the OPWC pot, and they make sure that money Lake County residents put in and pay taxes on, that money does come back to Lake County. the money Geauga pays goes.
Yeah,
back
but
to
more of
those
it went to
communities.
other communities.
No, so they make sure, and the scoring sheet this year was a little more confusing because we may have scored higher than a project in Geauga County, but because other communities in Lake County scored very high, they used up all the Lake County money. And so we were down on the list.
But they scored higher because we scored lower, because they changed the criteria. And that's the crux of the conversation I'm
Yeah.
trying to stress.
Yeah, I understand that, but just the Lake County money stays in Lake County.
Well, that just means that there's probably, like in Geauga County, they don't have as many cities. So they probably all have road levies. So
Yeah,
their
Doesn't
scoring is
hurt them.
there.
It doesn't hurt them like it hurts us in Lake County, huh?
Right, Lake County, we got more cities than we got townships. Did Perry or anyone else get any of the other townships get it? You know?
I don't think any other townships did.
There you go.
And this happened once before. I mean,
Well, yeah.
Right. A couple years ago, about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
We didn't get funded.
So who wants to run with that to figure it out? Who we contact? Who knows? I don't have a clue.
It sounds like Tracy's the one that's making the scoring, right?
well, she is.
It's a committee, isn't it?
Nah, there's 3 reviewers at the county engineer's office. I mean, and they're following a set of criteria, but it's the fact that that really favors cities. So it's probably a discussion with Tracy to see
Right.
who the letter should go to and to support a scoring.
Do you want to talk to her, or do you want me to rub her wrong and talk to her?
Well, no, why don't you talk to her and find out who we should be talking to? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I will.
I mean, you know, it's just a matter of how you get funding. I mean, we don't have an income tax, so we can't just say, hey, you know, that's part of, you know, we have to separate out our road money from like a city. They'll just using their income tax money and spreading it around to everything. Whereas townships have to, you know, we're always going to have road levies, all our townships. So it's going to be unfair for all the townships. Actually, what we should probably do is get together with the other townships and go in and bitch about it.
Yeah, get the townships together. We can do that and get them. So let's find
Yeah,
out,
let me check with
and then
her
we can
and
get the others involved.
Yeah. Let's make sure that that's the case, and we just didn't get it this year for whatever reason. That was really the reason why we didn't get it.
tipping my monitor.
All right, thank you. So who's up next? So Billy just went. Fire's already gone. We're going to go to our awesome zoning department. Who wants to go first?
Let me take a couple things first. Tonight we have a public hearing continued for zoning case 20ZC05. That's the one where we are adding indoor climate controlled self-storage units as a conditional use in the B1 zoning district. That influences sections 22 and 12 of our zoning resolution. Zoning Commission kind of let this get out of our hands a little bit, but we had a lot of recommendations from the Planning Commission on 3 other zoning cases that the Zoning Commission is very close to sending on to the trustees. The last of those cases, 20ZC09, also is going to influence sections 12 and 22. There's no urgency to getting this one on the books quite yet. If the trustees are willing to consider the possibility of continuing the public hearing on 20ZC05 this evening, to stall some time and let the other zoning cases catch up to this one in the timeline, we think that would be a good move. Doesn't have to happen that way, but only if you guys see some merit in having those 2 sections have all their new changes simultaneously instead of having one of them go now and the other one follow along within the next month. So that's a decision you have to make tonight. If you close the public hearing tonight, you have to make a decision on that case within 30 days.
So Rich, I'll just make a motion, or I'll just request a motion that we continue the hearing.
Okay, that solves that. Um, we don't have to really discuss this too much tonight. In my report folder, I put the drawing and the proposed second amendment to the consent decree with Mapleview, with Joe Street and his companies. They're basically wanting to eliminate the 80 commercial storage units that we had agreed to the last time around and replace those with an additional 28 dwelling units spread over 7 buildings instead of the 80 storage units. You had it several months ago. Joe approached me with this. I ran it by you. You asked that he prepare a proposed amendment and we'll look it over. So he finally got around to that. He would like some work session time at the next meeting to discuss that with you, and hopefully we can agree to move forward with their proposed modification to that development.
Hey, Rich,
Yes.
did Joe prepare a revised site plan for that or no?
Yes. Yeah, that's in the report folder also.
I thought that looked like the existing site plan with the storage units, didn't it?
No. Instead of the 80 storage units, you'll see 7 buildings in the back end of that property with 28 units included in those 7 buildings.
All right, we're opening it up. Hold on.
Okay.
I thought I saw storage units on what I was looking at.
Yeah, that's what we got.
Even though sometimes it feels like things get out of my control, I'm pretty positive that the site plan I included in my report folder was the recent one that Polaris Engineering just sent me last week.
I'm not seeing it
So
now.
what I'm looking at looks like storage units. I'm trying to see if it identifies those little boxes as storage units. They sure don't look like they would be. They don't look like the other buildings, Rich, of what you included in our package.
Mike, can you open up and share? Or Rich, actually, do you have access to it? Can you open it up and share? Or Mike can do it here.
I have to see where I put it. See, I've got all that stuff on my computer at the office, which
That's
is
all right,
hard
Rich.
for.
Mike is going to bring it up.
Okay.
Mike's going to get it.
What folder? Is it in the Riverwood folder?
Yeah.
I just have the Word file in there right now.
Well, no, there was a PDF.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I know it was, and I opened it. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? In the very back, looks like on that line that there's that's single family dwelling. That's another area, apparently. That's Newell Street. Okay.
There's 2 here, preliminary plan and second.
Yeah, the preliminary plan. And then once that is open, can you share your screen so Rich can see it too?
Yeah, I think that's the initial. So the second amendment.
Mine was called amended.
That was a Word file and just had all text in it. Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking at too. Can you see that, Rich?
Yeah, Rich, that looks like the one with the storage units on that back.
No,
I don't remember how to share.
Well, that's what was,
I'm not seeing a shared screen.
Is that all right if I borrow your?
So,
Can you hover down? There you go. Present.
Okay.
double click, right? There you
All
go.
right. This is the one we're looking at. These are the storage units, aren't they?
No,
They're
those are new. Those are the new buildings.
Oh, okay.
There's
no driveways.
There are certainly not 80 storage units there. If you count the number of units in the buildings, that's 28.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's 28 buildings he's requesting?
28 units in those seven buildings.
What's the square
Uh,
footage?
Three of the buildings only have 3 units in them. One has 2 units, and the other one has 6, and maybe 5.
Are these apartments?
These are all condos, right, Rich? Just like the other ones?
Correct.
Those are townhomes, and those are all single units with the individual driveways.
So he's not showing the driveway here.
Well, and the units look
Correct.
not the same.
All right, so we'll see something when we meet with him next meeting, right? It's what he wants us to meet with us next meeting?
Right.
Okay. It's just a bad drawing, so that's fine. If they look like storage sheds because they really don't look like the other things. So we're willing to meet with him next meeting if that's what he's requesting and discuss this further. Is that where we're at?
Right.
Okay, all good.
Okay. Let's talk for a minute about 206 Hawthorne. Jason, I know has done some research on the question of trustee participation in a Board of Zoning Appeals hearing. They have filed for the variance. Harley wrote it up as a use variance to have 5 unrelated people be a single household rather than the 4 that our zoning text allows. They really haven't addressed or notified me. I have had no notification on how they intend to approach their parking problem. But I'm sure that's going to come up at the BZA hearing. So if you're interested in hearing what Jason has to say on trustee participation in the BZA hearing, this is probably a good time for that.
All right, Harley, you want to say something first?
I just wanted to add that I had some discussion with the property manager, and they discussed enlarging their non-conforming gravel driveway, and I informed her after speaking with Rich that the square footage that they would need to accommodate a parking space, they wouldn't even be able to get one parking spot out of the 10% expansion they're permitted. And so we discussed some other things. I also
Interrupt you. What does that mean, 10%?
on a non-conforming use, they are permitted to enlarge the non-conforming use by 10%. So the existing square footage of the lot, they would be able to take 10% of that and add that to the driveway, and add that to the gravel driveway.
Huh. I thought zoning board of appeals has unlimited authority.
No, the BZA would be able to grant a variance on anything, but we would be able to permit it in the zoning office without BZA approval of 10%.
Up to 10%.
Yes. And so after discussing that with her, she and the proposed location of their expansion, which looks to be basically in the right of way, is where they were proposing to park the cars. I sent her an aerial image of the property with the suggested location for the expansion, for their parking, and informed her of the materials that the expanded area could be, which includes pavers as our pervious driveway surface that we now permit. So that seems to be the way that they're leaning in addressing.
They would rather put pavers in than concrete or asphalt? For real?
But then the whole,
Yeah, your buck of paver.
the
pretty
whole
much,
improved
plus labor.
parking area has got to be that, right? It's got to be the same material?
No, the pervious surface is the only surface material that does not have that same requirement that it has to be homogeneous.
So
You should do your neighbor now. Wanted to do the, like the lady that lives kind of across the K corner.
I don't know. We'll talk on that later. I know what you're even talking about. So they want to put the pavers in. Where do they want to put the pavers?
Closer to the house, to the south of the pre-existing driveway. So if you're looking at the house, here's the driveway, they would be extending it to the south.
To the left.
Yes.
So in front of the house?
Yes, in front of the house.
So they're going to make like a double wide driveway? Is that what you're saying? Or they're just going to put a parking spot over there in front of the house?
They would put a parking spot in front of the house. They have a pre-existing large tree that would block them from being able to expand the entire width of the driveway. So this parking area would be on the opposite side of that large tree. What they initially proposed was on the street side of the tree, but that's the right of way.
So they're allowed to put pavers on part of it so they could park an extra vehicle, but they can leave the rest of the driveway mud, basically, because they're grandfathered in.
Yes.
And do we have authority to say yes or no on this? Or is this because it's in there, you got to give it to them?
On the pavers, no, we do not. We do have standards for maintenance. Well, not even technically maintenance. If they don't maintain their pre-existing gravel driveway, they can their grandfathered status, but
When did we, yes, I'm guilty here. When did we pass, they could put pavers in? I thought
previous surface, that was more recently, wasn't it, Rich? When we permitted for.
that was for like the fire department parking and stuff like that. I mean,
That
that's,
that was more recently, yeah.
It was to address water runoff concerns. So we permitted pervious surface, but instead of permitting gravel, we permitted the pavers. And as a way to encourage the use of the pervious surface, we allowed them to install pervious surface area for parking that wasn't homogeneous to what was
So,
pre-existing.
I mean, so this also then goes back to, I mean, we should have no interest in bending the rules they're breaking, number of people in the house, if they're not willing to invest in the property. I mean, it kind of just goes, it has more reasoning behind, there's no way
what's the
they
address?
should be
204?
granted a variance. Do you know which house we're talking about, Bill?
Yes.
I think there's a no parking sign.
Pardon?
That's the largest house on the isn't it?
It's one of the, yeah.
I think there's a no parking sign in front of the house, actually. It's all twisted and bent up. At least it was this weekend.
I mean, I know the house, but I'm not
Okay.
familiar if there's a sign there.
Just if you, yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, I'm just typing this in.
No.
You know what those pavers are gonna look like when they just throw them down there, right?
I know.
Maybe okay day one, but
Weeds come up and all that stuff.
So Jason, there was something that you wanted to say on this?
Well, yeah, you guys had asked me last meeting if trustees could attend the hearing and speak against the variance. And the answer is yes, you can. Any person can appear at a BZA hearing to speak for or against a variance, including the trustees. That your ability to participate in the hearing does not necessarily translate into standing to appeal a decision of the BZA. And I will say that the case law is crystal clear that the trustees in the township do not have the authority to attack a decision of the BZA on appeal. They can defend a decision of the BZA. So just hypothetically, if the BZA were to grant this variance, the trustees in the township would not have standing to appeal that to common pleas court. They denied the variance, and the variance requester filed an appeal. The township would have standing to defend that decision. So you guys can defend, you can't attack.
So why does the city have standing to appeal a Board of Zoning Appeals decision where a township does not?
If the city is, I mean, it's a different situation, but if a city, particularly a home rule city, has it in their ordinances that the city has the authority to do that, then you can.
Because it's home rule.
If they're silent, then they can't. But because they have the home rule, they can kind of grant themselves that authority. Whereas the township can't, obviously. As far as standing for like a third party, it's not enough to show, you have to show, they call it a unique harm. So it has to be a harm that's specific to that property owner as opposed to the community as a whole. So usually you're talking adjacent and contiguous property owners. But most likely those who would have standing.
So going to a board meeting, we would be allowed to go to the board and speak.
Correct.
And would I be able to say I'm a trustee or not?
Yes.
I could.
Yes. Now, I'll tell you as a trustee, though, you would not have standing to appeal that decision.
In court.
In court, correct.
Okay.
But you could appeal. So I guess my thought on it, and obviously, so you guys can go in person. You can all go in person. You can identify yourselves as trustees. My thought on it was maybe a letter, maybe signed by all you guys, because you wouldn't have the standing to appeal it anyway. Because that's part of the requirements for standing is you have to show up and participate either personally or through an attorney, because you all as trustees don't have standing. My thought was maybe a letter would be better to kind of avoid the look of maybe a little undue influence, because you guys do appoint the members of the BZA. But there's nothing saying you guys can't show up in person either.
Would that hurt showing up in person? Would that potentially hurt if the board denies it, one or more were to speak against it and it goes to an appeal court, would that hurt the appeal process from the township standpoint, potentially?
I don't think it would necessarily hurt, but if I'm an attorney representing somebody appealing that, I'm definitely making mention of it. That, hey, maybe this decision wasn't on the merits, and maybe they were a little too influenced by the trustees. Now, that's not really the standard you're looking at on an appeal here. It'd be, once again, we talked about earlier, it'd be an administrative appeal. So you'd be looking at, is the decision supported by reliable, substantial, and probative evidence? So that's all the BZA would have to show is here's the reason why we did this, and essentially, does it make sense? So that kind of undue influence, the door might be cracked to make that argument, but it wouldn't win or lose the case.
Okay. Harley, can I ask you a question? Can you come over here, please? So this is the house looking down at it?
Yes.
So they want to put pavers where?
Up here.
To fill in that void?
Yeah, there is a tree, I believe, right around here, and that's why this stops. And they wanted to extend this way.
Go.
But they would be placing,
So this line right here, it looks like it's kind of gravel.
yes.
So that would go all the way to the house? Or they're not coming over here?
No, that's what they initially did or proposed, and we told them that they wouldn't be permitted to park there, so it would be a waste of time and money to install it because they would be parking vehicles in the right of way. So if that's the way that they go, I also have a suggestion in terms of how the board of trustees may address the Board of Zoning Appeals in wording how you
You should
feel.
go back to the mic. In case anybody's listening, they can hear what you're saying.
So my thought was, if you are writing a letter to address the Board of Zoning Appeals, one of the things that the Board of Zoning Appeals takes into consideration when they're hearing a variance is the complaints that might have been generated based on what a person is asking to do. Now, because the Board of Trustees has received so many emails and correspondence from residents regarding the nuisance conditions at the property, you guys might be able to, address the Board of Zoning Appeals stating the reason why we permit, what we permit is to avoid this specific nuisance situation. This is the reason why we don't. They're young college students, they create, noises, whatever, and so the reason why we had limited it the way that we did was to avoid nuisance, and
Would it be better served, and this may be a question, if in attendance versus stating our opinion, personal opinion, right? Go and say, hey, as a trustee, I want to present to you the feedback we've gotten from the community because of this, and the neighbors, and share that information that way, letting them know that the neighbors aren't happy, complaints, violation of zoning, but make them aware of those things versus, let's say, your personal opinion, how you feel.
Is that secondhand, or do we need to document those complaints that we've gotten? I mean, if we just come in and
So you're
say,
saying, I mean, there's only one resident so far that I'm aware of. Are there more?
only one that I've heard
Oh,
from.
okay. I thought there's more.
I mean, she may be holding the others at bay because she's spoken to us so much, and maybe it's time to turn them loose. So when's this going to hearing?
Tuesday,
Next Tuesday.
This
Yeah.
coming Tuesday?
week from today. 6:30.
I think a letter from 3 of us would be.
I believe Rich was intending on making them aware of the violation. He always does every time they go through and the variance is brought before due to some violation of our standard. Rich is very good about giving
So the
the.
8th, 12/8.
So when we say they can do pervious pavement, what does it permit them to do?
Pervious pavement, the way that it's written in our definition, it basically allows pavers.
And did we do this?
Nothing.
And we don't have any standards as to what sort of leveling.
Some
or-
sort of like 1 foot of
Specifically
stone that the water drains
So,
into,
I
nothing.
mean,
Fire
to
department.
encourage
No.
that sort of stuff, but here's where it really gets abused.
Was this specifically to address the paver project at the fire station? Why that was written into the zoning resolution?
Could have been related.
I don't think so. I mean,
Why else would we have done it? Doesn't make
I mean,
sense.
so it was done to encourage for stormwater improvement and those related items, but here it's getting abused. They just want to fill in a little section with pavers instead of putting, what were they told they had to do? If they didn't do pavers, what road were they heading down? Concrete or asphalt?
I believe, well,
Because they couldn't put stone down there because it wasn't there before, right? And then they would probably have had to done the whole thing to keep it, because it has to be uniform. So they would have to do that whole thing. So to avoid that, they've taken the route of what can we put there and get away the cheapest, and this is it. I mean, am I reading it correctly? Okay.
Yes.
Can we address that, can we? I want you to speak up thing. Okay, Richard, with the zoning commission, can that be something you can get on the agenda to change? I mean, this is kind of an abuse of the intent. The intent was a good thing, and it was for stormwater and is another option, and that's good, but not in a case like this. And so, that's how these things are discovered. I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this is crap.
maybe if we could get that revised, have some sort of design standards to it where there is.
Or maybe it has to be homogeneous, even if you do that. I don't know.
Well, how is our impervious or our pervious pavement holding up to snow plowing at the fire station?
We don't snow plow it.
They don't snow plow it, Rich.
Yeah.
It's not snow plowed.
Okay.
And so that pavement over there is several inches of stone with pavers on top.
It was an engineered project, yes.
Specifically for stormwater mitigation, not for.
Yeah, this is just going to be, they're just going to dig down a little bit and throw some pavers down so they can pull a car up on top, and it's going to look like Hill Jack City worse.
Was the pervious pavement or pavers driveway, was that related to anything up on Wintergreen Hill where we had, is it Alden's, Motters?
Yes, it's an official term.
Is that where we got some of the pervious
Well,
pavement?
Obviously not. because that situation isn't even worth talking about.
Okay.
That's in the past. I don't know what you call what Alden has on his property.
Okay. I didn't know if that was the way that we were trying to address that
Okay,
situation.
so
No, I think the idea of pervious pavement got some steam by the county. It was being pushed by soil and water conservation, stormwater management, at a time when we realized that we do not impose any pervious surface maximums on residential properties. So especially for residential properties, we decided we will allow parking lot expansions, even if it's not homogeneous, if pervious pavement is used.
okay, so Rich, let me stop you. So Tuesday's hearing, what are they asking for specifically?
They are asking to have 5 people be considered, 5 unrelated persons compose a single housekeeping unit instead of the 4 that we currently have as a maximum. And that's all that I know of that they're asking for.
So then what about this driveway thing? Is that like something they can't just do that?
Well, I mentioned that they have a parking issue there that they've got to resolve one way or another. Obviously, Harley's been in touch with them and I have not been. She is aware that they're planning on using the pervious pavement expansion.
All right, stop, Rich. Stop, Rich, for a second.
Okay.
Can they just do that? Can they just fill in that area, or do they need approval to fill in that area?
If it's for an approved surface, they do not need our approval. We do not
So
require
they could-
permits.
Well, that driveway is already like double wide. Looking
No,
at
it's
the
not.
bottom half of it is
Well-
double wide, the other half is grass. So what gives them the authority to fill that in? I mean, that's not even a conforming driveway. You can't just start running all the way up from the road to your house and fill in pavers and call it a day, can you?
Mr. Chairman, you could. They could pave their entire front yard with
No
concrete
way.
or asphalt, yes.
Richard.
Minimum.
We have no maximum driveway size.
All right, that's something else we got to address. That's ridiculous. I mean, how could they do that legally?
Probably that former zoning commission board.
No.
Was on that.
Yeah, I think the paver pervious surface was, the stormwater did that project at the Great Lakes Mall. There was a large project there that they did. They did a project of we got some grant or something to do the one at the fire station so I would assume that the reason we did that was to address that type of surface, not Home Depot pavers with with the gravel base underneath.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, we need to get that
So
modified.
we need to clean that up to state the specific reason or the purpose of those is for stormwater mitigation and management, not just going and grabbing a pallet of pavers at, Home Depot or
So
Lowe's and laying
what's
it
the
out.
construction standards for laying pavers there? I mean, there are construction standards if you do driveways with concrete and asphalt. So do we have construction standards for pavers?
In our resolution, we do not. However, we can add them the way that we have asphalt listed out as exactly what it is because of what happened on Wintergreen.
Well, I think it would be advantageous to research, like I said, the one I know the stormwater did, there was a big, and it's by the food court in JCPenney there, huge project they did with the same type of surface. What we did at the fire station, investigate what the process is with that, with the underlying layers to address the purpose of that. It's 6 or 8 inches of drainage stone or whatever versus, like I said, just going down 3 inches, laying out your paver base and just sticking pavers down. Do we address it that way to specifically say those are for the purpose of?
I think Lake County Stormwater Department would have those details.
You're right.
So, and I think we should really get that worked into that doesn't help us here, but
All right.
in the future, we
Yeah,
should get that
all
worked in.
We're out of time. You have a minute and a half. Is there anything else we need out of zoning? Zoning needs to share with us?
I have really good news.
news.
What do you have?
The software's coming along. Rich and I are ticking away on it. And the more I use the software, the more excited I am. And I'm really confident in the
Well, that's
I'm
good.
super happy with what we purchased. And hopefully next trustees work session, if not the one after, I would like to do a quick presentation for the trustees and just show you guys what it can do.
Yeah, that's what we paid
What
for.
our residents would see, what our residents can do.
That's great.
Mhm.
That's great. Okay, anything else? We done?
That's all I've got. Mr. Chairman.
All right, so we're gonna close this work session at 7:29. We're gonna start another one here in another minute there, Sean. So come back in about a minute.